Hey, I hope this finds you doing well and having a great day. I wanted to share with you from Romans chapter number 13, verse 8 through 10. He starts off, he says, "Owe no one anything except to love each other. For the one who loves another has fulfilled the law. For the commandments, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, you shall not covet, and any other commandment are summed up in this word: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Love does no wrong to a neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law." He starts off, he says, "Oh, no one anything." I don't like to be in debt and or have any kind of like those kind of financial obligations, but I don't think this scripture means that you can never borrow money to buy a house or a car or anything like that. I think what Paul meant was, listen, have no obligation in your life as a believer that would in any way hinder you in fulfilling your primary obligation, which is accept to love each other. You see, we who are those who have been transformed by his love, who have experienced his love, who are indwelt by his love, are to be people who release that love into the world. And so Paul tells the church at Rome, he says, listen, don't owe anybody anything except to love. This is to be our heart, to love each other. For the one who loves another has fulfilled the law. Now you might be thinking, well, hey, I thought we were free from the law and that we're no longer under the law. And all of that is true. We are free from the law, and we are not under the law, because we know the scripture tells us that the law couldn't do for us what Christ's indwelling life does do for us. We're not living by an external code, but by a responsiveness to his indwelling life. And so he's trying to, I think, key us into realizing, hey, no obligation that interferes with you being an agent of love. Because when we love, we fulfill everything the law requires. For the commandments, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, you shall not covet, and any other commandment are summed up in this word: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. So, the law could not empower us to do what God desired to do through us. And he says that when we love our neighbor as ourself, we end up fulfilling the very purpose of the law. Now, how do you love you? You might have heard me say it before. Love your neighbor as yourself. Oh, poor neighbor. We are to be a people who receive and experience the love that God has for us, so that we can love others in the same way he loves us. Love does no wrong to a neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law. So, friends, even though we aren't under the law, even though we are not obligated to the law in a legalistic set, we are not a lawless people. We have but one obligation, if you will, And that is to love each other, to love our neighbor. And before you get like a Pharisee in qualifying who's my neighbor, remember Jesus' parable where he talks about who's my neighbor, who's the neighbor, and he uses the picture of the Samaritan who found the man and bound up his wound and cared for him when all of the religious just walked by. So look for someone to love today and tomorrow and for the rest of your life, because you who have received the love that God has for you now need to be this vessel in which he manifests his love through you in impacting the world that we live in. Everyone you meet is your neighbor. So let God's love transform you, and let his love flowing through you transform the world that you and I live in. Hey, I love you. Have a great day. God bless.